Good morning. So I want to share out of the book of Jeremiah this morning, chapter 29. I'm going to read verses 4 through 10. Here we go. Thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, to all the exiles whom I have sent into exile from Jerusalem to Babylon. Build houses and live in them, and plant gardens and eat their produce. Take wives and become the fathers of sons and daughters, and take wives for your sons and give your daughters to husbands, that they may bear sons and daughters, and multiply there and do not decrease. Seek the welfare of the city where I have sent you into exile, and pray to the Lord on its behalf, for in its welfare you will have welfare. For thus says the Lord of hosts, the God of Israel, do not let your prophets who are in your midst and your diviners deceive you, and do not listen to the dreams which they dream. For they prophesy falsely to you in my name. I have not sent them, declares the Lord. For thus says the Lord, when 70 years have been completed for Babylon, I will visit you and fulfill my good word to you to bring you back to this place. So, God had fulfilled his judgment against the Israelites when Nebuchadnezzar made Jerusalem fall to him. And as the Lord had been telling their forefathers through other prophets, they were sent to exile. Hananiah was one prophet that was a false prophet during Jeremiah's time, who, despite knowing what God had already told the people through past prophets, like Isaiah, that their punishment was going to be going to exile, and I believe Isaiah said something about 70 years for them to be in exile. Well, Hananiah had said God's going to break the yoke in 2 years. We'll be back in 2 years, which is directly against what was said to them in the past. So, I think Jeremiah was instructed to send to write this letter to the exiles of Babylon. So he wrote it, and he had it sent. And in the letter, God had told Jeremiah to tell the people to basically, live and thrive in the land that I sent you. Basically, he's telling them that they have to live out the punishment that they earned, because they were guilty of their main thing that he punished them for was their idolatry, I think, where they were not following God. They were following false gods and sacrificing idols, or making idols from them, and sacrificing whatever those false gods required in sacrifices. Many prophets had come before Jeremiah warning of judgment coming because they would not turn their ways. They would turn their back on God. Well, during Jeremiah's time, it happened. And they got sent to Nebuchadnezzar. And you also see that God tells them to pray for the cities that they've been sent to. And specifically tells them that pray for their welfare, for those cities' welfare, because their welfare is your welfare. In other words, if the city should be taken down or destroyed, that's what's going to happen to you. You know, God is basically telling the people that I placed you there for my reasons. You are exiled because of what you have done. And he tells them right off that there's going to be those who are going to tell you that this will be over soon. Don't believe them. I didn't send them. And then he got very specific and told them, when 70 years is over, then I will come and fulfill my good word to you, which was to bring them back to Jerusalem. So, a lot of times we end up in places, and no matter where we end up, whether it's, as a result of, following God and obeying what God's telling you to, where to go, or if it's a result of a judgment that you have brought upon yourself, like the Israelites did, for not obeying God, it doesn't matter. We are to thrive and strive for God, for Jesus Christ. Because wherever we're placed, we were placed there by God, not by ourselves. We might think, we decided to go here, but in reality, we are where we're at because of what God had told us, or where God had determined us to be. And sometimes consciously we're aware of it, but a lot of times we're not. But no matter where we are, we need to pray for the towns that we live in. We need to engage with folks. We need to share the gospel. Wherever you are, you need to share the gospel. And because if God isn't in the picture and Jesus isn't in your picture, it's not going to go well. I seem to say that a lot, don't I? It's not going to go well. It's not going to go well for you folks. But it's the truth. I mean, God has a divine plan for you and for us. But if we don't follow him, if we keep rebelling against him and keep ignoring him or refusing him, he will send us somewhere else. A place that we may not want to go. The Israelites, they didn't want to go to Babylon, that's for sure. But guess what? They kept ignoring the prophets. They kept disobeying God. And so God warned them many, many, many years, decades even, I think. And then he finally got to the point to where, okay, this is it. And, Jeremiah with that letter said, basically got something, well, now that you're here, you need to do this, you need to do this, and you need to do this, and you don't need to listen to anybody else who contradicts what I just told you, because if you do, they're false prophets, and you'll suffer the consequences of that. So, we just need to pray for our cities, pray for our nation, pray for our countries. Know that God's in control. And so in lieu of that, we want to pray for prosperity and for His will to be done. Love you guys. You have a blessed day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.